Okay, so I was taking a shower and I had another revelation about something. So he showed me a bunch of neurons like inside of a brain. Well, I guess that's the only place they would be. Uh, and it seems to be a worldwide thing that we are waking up. We need to wake up to reality. We need to wake up to what's going on. And I think that that has a lot of symbolism in it. And when I was shown the neurons and like the pathways, and you know how you can actually take a neuron and move it, like it can actually detach from old pathways, old connections. When you can actually detach, you can actually train your brain to detach away from that by constantly telling yourself, okay, to make a conscious decision to do something different, to not react, but be mindful and purposeful in what you're doing, and in that way, that connection goes further away from the old way, and it finally solidifies, and welds itself together, like what Anna was saying. It welds itself together to another neuron, another pathway. You're creating another pathway. And also, when I thought of neurons, I thought of dreaming. I thought of dreaming. And lately I've been wondering why I'm not dreaming as much as I normally used to. It seemed like all of my answers and stuff like that would come through dreams. And they told me it was because I no longer need that. I no longer need that anymore because my dreams are becoming my reality. Everything that I could see in a dream, I can actually see in the sky. I can actually piece together what these clouds used to be, just clouds, these puffy white things that didn't, they could look like whatever you want. But they said that the way I'm interpreting what these skies are showing me are so on point that I don't, I'm not saying I'm absolutely correct. What I'm saying is that I'm following so closely to get me to where I need to be that I don't need dreams to tell me what they used to, because my life is that. Um, I lost my train of thought. Um, um, um. Oh, okay. So the neurons. So when I think of dreams and I think of neurons and all that, I think of the movie Inception. I don't know if you saw it, but you should probably go see it, because this really made this message more clear for me, because I had seen it. And that movie always blew my mind, because I've actually had dreams where I thought I was waking up. I thought I woke up in my dream, and I realized in that moment, I'm like, well, wait a minute, wait, I'm not awake, And then you wake up and you think you woke up, but then you realize you haven't woke up. It's the weirdest thing. And so when I saw that movie, I was like, they actually made, my hair is bananas right now. They actually made a movie about that. So I was really enthralled by that. And the way I liken that movie to this message is that, and this kind of still blows my mind. I mean, I'm not really sure how to wrap my head around it, but what came to my mind immediately on that was that we are all in the same dream. We're all in the same dream. And I don't know if it's like, how in normal dreams they say that everything is a reflection of you, which is really interesting, because I've really been delving into mirrors, and the fact that the reflection on the sky and everything is a reflection. And I think about dreams and how they say that everything in your dream is really a reflection of you. So if something happens in your dream, or you come across somebody in your dream, it's like, that's a deep-seated, that's a subconscious feeling, emotion, or whatever that comes out in your dream, so that you can face it. And You can try and learn from it. It's like you have the opportunity in dreams to learn something, and then when in your waking life, you know, you now hold that seed that's going to grow greater and greater, because you made a decision in your dream. And I can't decide if we are all totally autonomous and in one dream, like if we're all just having the same dream, which is really cool if that's true, or if it's like I'm literally making a video for myself. You know, you are all facets of me, and I am a facet of you. We're all facets of each other. I mean, I don't know. That kind of blows my mind. I'm not sure exactly just yet, but maybe it's both, you know? Why do I think it can't be both? Why not? Maybe it is both. Maybe we're all little neurons in the mind of God. And I feel like when I do something for somebody else, like every time I make a video, I actually increase whatever knowledge. Something actually makes sense from yesterday or last night, the video that I made. It makes more sense for me right now. And maybe it's because I finally let it out. I let it go through me, and I send it out there. And it's not, you know, I was shown also about intentions, emotion, passion, drive, you know, all the oomph that you put behind something. Like Anna was saying with the weight and words, you know, to have weight behind your words, to have that, you know, that realness, that true you, the true being in you, and it's pushing so much, got so much drive. And it made me think, you know, I remember in one of my other videos I said that it's not like I need to make the video, because they did tell me that when I think something, it's simply spread throughout. And not to worry, because even one drop in a pool, the waves are going to reach even the farthest corners of everything. It just takes time. But what I did realize today is that when I do make a video, I am putting more oomph, I am putting more drive, I am putting more passion, I am making more action, which is the weight. That's the weight behind my willingness to share what I'm getting. Whether it makes sense or not, it doesn't matter, because it's where I'm at. And it's like, it'll eventually make sense. So this may not be total truth right now, but it's bringing me towards that. They were telling me that decisions, there are no good or bad decisions. We all have our own paths, because certain things click for certain people at a certain time in a certain way, and they've already made these decisions previously to experience something, so they wanted to, on a soul level, experience exactly what they're going through, even if it's painful, even if they're not completely aware of it or completely conscious of it. They wanted the experience. We want this experience of life. I don't know how many times I would sit in nature, and I would see like a piece of dust float by, or I'd see an ant on the ground, and I used to think, I wonder what it's, you know, I would actually think, like, I wonder what it's like to be them. You know, I wonder what things look like to them, because it blew my mind that when you think of things that are much bigger than us, or perceived as much bigger than us, I mean, in all reality, it's really just a fractal, and depending on your position and point on that fractal, like say a helix, if I'm here, everything down there looks far away and small, and everything up this way looks, you know, or, you know, everything in my reality is the same size as me. But if I was there, then where I just was would look like it was smaller You know what I mean? Like, it's all the same. It's all on your perspective. I totally just lost my train of thought. What was I talking about before this? Okay, yeah. So the ants. Alright. So the ants, you know, I always, even as a kid, when my mom and I were driving, I would see somebody on the side of the road and be like, man, I wonder what they're experiencing. Like, it's so, like, anything can be changed. Like, I could literally change my history right now by doing anything that I normally wouldn't do. I can do anything right now. For good or for worse, I could literally change my course right this second if I chose to. Doing something crazy or whatever, you know, something that doesn't fit the norm of this situation. And so, when I think about what other people must be going through, what their lives must be like, because I'm right here, and I know they're right here, and their car's broken down, or like whatever the problem is, they're totally having a completely different experience than me, and I think that kind of blew my mind as a kid. So when I look down at the ground, I see these tiny little things. It's like they're living a totally different life, but it's no different than mine. I mean, when I think about it, you know, the Bible talks about the ancients, you know, the ancients, and there were giants. Well, I don't know if they say ancients, they say giants. There were giants back in that time. And when I think about that, it's like, okay, well, what do ants think about us? Do they see us as giants? You know, they're so small, to be quite honest. I don't even know if they can see us for our entirety, because their eyeballs can't see all of that and make sense of it, especially if they look different. I mean, who knows? Maybe ants actually look like people, and we just think they look like ants because our brains can't. We're told it's an ant. I don't know. Anyways, so when I think of giants, I think of like the cosmos, and I think of I mean, it's got to be something big, something real big that we can't see, because just like the ant, we are an ant in another world. It's like Horton Hears a Who. I always wonder what it would like, what it is like to be an atom. I always wonder what it's like to be a molecule, or be something that's small. Like, I always think, is it scary? Like, is it scary to be that? And I think, well, I guess it's really no different than it is here, because we have these crazy floods, we have these crazy hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes and all these things. And I'm like, well, if there's a much bigger world out there, well, perceived as being bigger, and they're walking around their world like we're walking around our world, I mean, things are going to happen, and it's going to look to us like hurricanes and all these earth things going on, but in reality, they're just walking across the ground like we are walking across the ground, and the ants are like dealing with whatever it is they're dealing. In fact, the more I think about it, when something's really far away, like say a comet, right, and NASA or whoever, they got a telescope and they can see it far, far, far away. So they're like, okay, you know, they can literally look out 5 years from now and say it's gonna hit around this day. That's like clairvoyance. That to me seems like clairvoyance, and that's the difference between big and small, and your position and perception of like this whole experience. So it's like, when I think of killing something on accident, you know, you're walking and you step on an ant, and you know, you're not even paying attention. And you don't really, I mean, I'm not saying you have to have something, geez, you wouldn't even be able to walk. But like, you know, you kill the ant and you think, geez, you know, crap, I didn't mean to do that. And we think it's like this terrible, like all of a sudden they just see a giant foot and and they crush and they feel everything, and it's like, you know, I don't really think it happens like that. I just don't think it happens like that, because their brains don't feel the experience like in our time. It's our time. That's fast to us because we saw and felt it in our reality. Now, that small of an item with that big of a happening on this level, maybe it was really slow. Maybe they were like, well, a comet's coming. Maybe they're saying to their little buddies that there's a comet coming. And it hasn't even happened to them yet, maybe. But our time, depending on where we're positioned, is totally different. When you really think about it, it's totally different depending on the size. Because the macro seems very slow, methodical. But when we get down to micro, like string theory or quantum physics, it's like having a unified theory. A theory of everything is very difficult because everything seems chaotic. But I think it's all the same. It all depends on your point. It all depends on your perception, your position in space and time. But I think it's all the same. Okay, I really went further with that I wanted to. I tend to get going, and then there's almost no stopping me. I will probably have more later because I feel like I totally veered. But the main message was that I think that we are all connected in a way to understand by the brain. And I think Anna covered this too. And it's like I knew that when she said it, but then this morning really solidified. So it was like going from words to experience for me. And now that I experienced that on a deeper level, I totally want to share it because I can understand it a little better now. Yeah, so I'll probably have some more later, and thanks for watching and being patient.